Start recording.
Okay.
Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning.
This might be the 100th time that I've said good morning to you on the internet. How crazy is that? I don't know. There's a lot of things going on right now, and I'm totally confused. And I'm hoping to well, for sure, if anybody is not confused, it's going to be Barbara Weltman. But there's a lot of things going on, and I want to talk about some of those and your suggestions on what folks might do. But first, let's look at small business taxes 2023. This is Barbara.
25.
I'm sorry, 2025.
For 2024 returns.
For 2024 returns. Typically, Barbara publishes the book gets published in November. This year, I think it was December. But one of the really great things that Barbara does, and I don't know how many writers, publishers do it, but she will come out with at least one, maybe a couple updates to the book. So that's what we're going to be looking for today, an update to things that have been happening so far. So why don't we get started there?
Sounds great.
So tell us.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I did post in February a supplement to the book to update everything that happened between October 1st.
I apologize. I didn't download it. It's there, but I didn't download it.
Yeah, it's there on bigideasforsmallbusiness.com and also at jklasser.com. So the supplements are available and they're free and they're tied to the book. So you kind of need, the information is there and free to look at, but it's kind of tied to the chapters. So you want to know that. A lot of things happened since the book was published.
What are the three most important things you think that folks need to be thinking about since you published the book?
Well, one of the things in the book that I had was about beneficial ownership information reporting, which is something under the Treasury's auspices, BOI reporting. And just a little background, we had the Corporate Transparency Act, which then the Treasury used to create this reporting obligation for small businesses that had $5 million and 25 employees, or 20 employees, didn't have to report. So it's really for small businesses that file with the state, meaning if you incorporated or formed an LLC, you had to report who owned the company. And the idea behind it was that there are a lot of nefarious players, if you will, with drug trafficking, human trafficking, money laundering, all those bad things. And the government kind of wanted to know who they were, thinking that if, you're going to report yourself. I don't know. But anyway, there were legal challenges to the Corporate Transparency Act.
Why would somebody want to challenge that? Is it
constitutionally that it just?
I got you.
On a couple of different bases. District court said it's unconstitutional. Then an appellate court said, well, and they issued a nationwide injunction. That was back in December. Then an appellate court said, no, we're going to lift the injunction. Then it went back on, but then it's not on. Right now, where things stand, if you haven't reported, it's kind of voluntary because the Treasury said that they won't impose any penalties for not reporting at the moment because the court cases are going on. Looking ahead, it seems that they're going to refine the rules and target only foreign entities, not domestic businesses. Plus, there's a bill in Congress. There's one to repeal the Corporate Transparency Act. There's another to delay until 2026. So right now, if you go to fincin.gov, you can see what's going on with BOR reporting. Now, the reason why I talk about this is I know this one business that was brand new. There were different timelines for reporting if you newly formed or if you were in existence before 2025. Before 2024, rather, and you had to report during 2024. That was going to be the rule. Well, anyway, this new company failed to report, and they were hit with over $7,000 in penalties, which they paid. So now I don't know if they're going to get the penalties back, but the point is, pay attention to this.
Okay, you're going to laugh when I tell you this, Barbara, but earlier today, I actually went on the site to try to register my business, and I could not complete the process. There was only about, on the first page, there's about 6 questions, very simple.
It's
and then,
very, but you have to register at another place and get a code and do all these things in order
that's the FinCEN.
Yes.
That was not explained. So thank you for explaining, because I do have, I saw FinCEN. So yes. So by the end of the day, I will go back and have Dreaming with Entrepreneurs LLC on file. But
it's your call what you want to do with it.
Okay, well, okay. So one of my questions was going to be, but you've already answered it. That why? Because you and I have been talking about this for months now. Why the back and forth? And it's legal. It's in the courts.
It's just legalities. Yes, it's been challenged in the courts. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. So earlier, it was yesterday, I guess. A headline on a story I was reading: potential expiration of tax cuts as to SMB woes. Small business owners are facing uncertainty due to President Donald Trump's administration rapid policy changes. Top concerns include labor quality, inflation, and taxes. This is the opinion of William Dunkelberg. I don't know if you know that name or not.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah, I know.
NFIB.
Yeah, I know, Bill. So yeah.
Sure, I know. Wow. So would you
sure. Okay, so this is where we're at. There are dozens of tax rules set to expire at the end of 2025. When we had the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017, this was the ending date. In other words, they had, in order to pass it, they had to set an ending date to get the numbers right. So 2025 is the end of certain breaks, such as the qualified business income deduction, the QBI 20% deduction for owners of pass-through entities. That's set to expire at the end of this year. Where things stand, yes, there's uncertainty, but there is consensus about dealing with a variety of tax rules going forward. So with respect to the QBI deduction, which is highly favorable for small businesses, it's just to clarify, it's a personal deduction based on your share of business income that passes through to you. There's a thought to make it permanent, not just to perhaps extend it, perhaps make it permanent, perhaps make it more favorable, because there are a lot of restrictions on businesses that are basically service businesses. So they want to make it fair for all small businesses, or maybe even raise it, who knows, or just let it expire. I mean, that is an option. The thought, though, is that it will go forward in some form, as long as the corporate rate stays low. So in other words, if they wind up dropping the corporate rate, they could increase the QBI percentage, because the thought behind the QBI percentage was to give a break to owners, what they would pay tax on their profits versus C corporations.
How much confusion is there right now at the Small Business Administration with things that we read, and who knows what actually is going on? What's your perception of?
My perception is that small business owners aren't thinking about this at all. They're not thinking about next year. They've been doing their returns for this year.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I meant about the Small Business Administration itself. What are there going to be changes at the SBA? Well, yes, there will be.
There are changes at the SBA. It's already. I mean, the website looks different. I was there this morning, and yeah, there are going to be changes at the SBA for sure. I don't know what they're going to be, but I'm optimistic that they're going to be helpful to small business.
And are we going to get all these things sorted out in due time, or it's still is 2025 is still going to be a year of wondering? Or
2025 is going to probably, the projections, the experts think that we really won't know until late in the summer. Remember, the government's fiscal year ends September 30th. So things don't usually happen until then. I mean, it could be even later, but hopefully we will know by the end of the government's fiscal year what's going to be happening going forward.
okay,
And they
and
just had the continuing resolution for funding the government through that period. So they will tie tax changes and revenue raising and all, it'll all come together by that time.
Barbara, Weltman's list. What are the 3 to 5 to how many ever you want to major concerns of small business in 2025 and moving forward?
Well,
concerns.
yeah, well, tax wise, one of the big things that everybody agrees to, but they haven't enacted it yet, has to do with bonus depreciation, which is an option to write off the cost of equipment and certain other property right up front, 100%, rather than having to depreciate it or take a first year expensing deduction. It had been 100%, but it's been phasing down. And it was 60%. It went down to 80%, then 60%, now 40%. They want to return it retroactively to 100%. Which means that small business owners should be paying attention because they may be able to get money back. They may be able to file amended returns and recoup the money. And that's a big deal. A similar thing has to do with research and experimentation, R&D expenses. In the past, you used to be able to expense your R&D costs. Now you have to amortize them, meaning to deduct them ratably over a minimum of 5 years. They want to change that back to expensing and also make that retroactive. So that's another thing to be watching for. I think the point to keep in mind is to pay attention to what's happening in the taxes, because there may be valuable opportunities for you. Not just, esoteric tax rules, but really actions that you can take to fiscally help yourself.
May I take the opportunity to encourage folks to buy the book and read the book? And if they have any questions, I'll share this right now, because the way I love to read this book and I get tremendous value, I go right to the index, the keyword index, and look for topics, things that are of specific concern, and go to the pages. But go get the book, read it, learn. You will learn a lot about your own business if you just assume that you give everything over to your CPA or your accountant and they take care of it. One of the greatest things you taught me to do was about 6 years ago. You said to me, buy some software, very inexpensive, very readily available, and just go through and do a return. And that year I went through and I did a return, and I learned more about my business just by sorting it out and telling the IRS what it was all about. And I gave that then. I'm not comfortable that I'm doing all the right things, so I gave it to my CPA, and all he did was audit it. And it took him an hour to do. And that year, he just charged me for an hour of his time. and not what the fee was going to be. But it was a win-win because I learned things about my business, and just getting the book, you will learn things about your business by going at topics, going at the keywords, and then seeing what Barbara has to say about what the regulation is. And you do a wonderful job of presenting case studies and examples and things that people can relate to. So,
well, you know what? I'll give a plug in a sense too, because I think people say, well, I don't know numbers. I'm not good about taxes, but you can't make good business decisions unless you understand the tax ramifications. You have to understand what the difference is between having an employee or an independent contractor, between buying or leasing equipment, what it means to lease your car versus buy your car, or buy an EV versus a fossil fuel vehicle. I mean, you have to kind of understand all these things so you can make informed decisions in your business. And I don't know any small business owner that can really afford to call their CPA every minute they have to make a decision. So,
well, they might have a $500 or $600 a month retainer. I don't know, but great point. Learn about your business. I guess that kind of goes back to what Michael Gerber has always said about business, that folks who go into business, they go in and they know what they're doing. They know their craft. They know their service. That's why they go into business. But they're in their business. They're working in their business and not working on their business. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand the tax part. Well, I'm going to throw another plug in here right now. It was kind of going to be a question I was going to ask you. Anyways, SCORE does a wonderful job with weekly webinars on issues. So I encourage everyone to go onto the score.org site and see what's going on. And if you get on your list, that you will get information, and they're good. They are good topics. I mean, I don't need.
I did one. I guess it was December or no. I did one I did one last month. I had 6,000 participants. It was on tax basics, and
how come I did not see your name and all the stuff that I see? That's interesting, because I would have been there.
Well, maybe you get a lot of local information.
You know what? I think that's that.
Rather than I didn't. This was a national, and I do one or two of them every year for SCORE.
Oh, you hurt my feelings, because I was also going to say that when we used to do our Friday morning at 11 o'clock show, and I did it on a website, and they liked what I was doing, and they put me on the homepage. We used to have, it was not unusual for us to have 5,000 views on those things that we did way back. But now you got 6,000 on your SCORE webinar. Oh, well. Well, it's better technology today. But the same, it's whatever. So, have we covered what you think businesses really need to focus on? Any other?
Just any calendar year S corporation or partnership that missed the filing deadline yesterday for the 2024 income tax return, and you didn't ask for an extension, file ASAP to minimize your late filing penalties. Do it as soon as you can.
Okay, as promised, I want to have a whatever discussion on artificial intelligence. You and I first started talking about it live stream about a year ago. We started, and I was very negative about it. And you told me how you've been using it, and you were using it as a checklist to create things that you might not have thought about, or whatever. And so from that time in the last year, I've been slowly getting into it. Well, now I'm doing something with a purpose. I'm using AI, and I'm using Google's AI. I'm Gemini, and the reason I'm doing that is 99% of everything that I've created in the last 17 years are on Google servers. So why would I want to go to another artificial intelligence on somebody else's servers. So I'm protecting my legacy really when I go on to Google and do the things that I want to do. So I'm going to ask questions. What would Small Biz David say about this based upon information that's already out there? So I'm having fun with it. Wow. Today I went on Gemini and I asked something about BOIR, and my question, and I can't remember exactly how I questioned it, but here's the AI response I got. Based on the emails you've received from Big Ideas for Small Business, there are regarding the following things. So what Google's AI did, went back and searched all the data that I have on, and they brought out you. So you're an entity on Google, but they talked about the report. You have mentioned reporting requirement, beneficial owner definition, potential penalties, deadlines, but we know that that's been going back and forth like crazy. Resources. FinCEN is one of the bullet points there, provides a guide for small businesses to determine reporting deadlines and how to report. So one of the things we should tell viewers today, make sure you go to FinCEN, FINCIN.
CEN.
I'm sorry, CEN.gov, and register the information you need, and that will keep you up to date for all the things that you need to be doing. And legal changes. It is important to stay updated on the latest legal developments and check the official guide for the most current information. You probably said those words in one of your Big Ideas for Small Business. So you are an authority figure on Google as far as small business taxes go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your time today, Barbara. It's been a very enjoyable conversation. Lots going on. If I get a question, I shoot it off to you and we see what's. I do have a personal issue I want to throw at you, something that came to my mind, and I'll do it in a day or two. So thank you for your time today.
Sure, and the updates on what's happening with BOI will be on my idea of the day.
And so why don't you give your address and
sure, it's bigideasforsmallbusiness.com, and I know I have an update coming on March 21st because was the deadline that the Treasury had set, and so that sort of fills you in on where things stand as of now.
Well, thank you for all the great information that you provide for small businesses, and the reason I have so much fun with where we've gone in the last 17 years, you are the nuts and bolts, bottom line, business operations, the important things that you have to do in terms of your business. I'm a marketing and sales guy, and that's all I know is marketing and sales, and so it's been fun because you set the guidelines, the things that folks. I wanted to talk about. I mentioned the title. I don't have it in front of me right now, of the book that you did that came out the week the pandemic came out, about doing a business in your own home. Starting a business.
The home-based business guide.
Home-based, yes. Give the title because folks needed it, and the reason they need it, there are checklists in the book. And if Barbara is at least a dozen checklists, and if you go right down the list, you will get the information that you need, or the ideas or the things that you need to be thinking about for your own business. So
if you go to Amazon and search my name, Barbara Weltman, you'll find the book.
That's the best way to do it. They know you too on it. They know you very well on Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your time today, Barbara, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Enjoy your day and be well.
You too.
Bye-bye.